Hello, welcome to the Crazy Food Lady, and today I am making a cake. It is my son's birthday tomorrow, and he has asked for a cake in the likeness of a tank. And the plan is that I am going to pick what tank it is and design the cake and make the cake, and then he's going to try to guess what model tank I have made. So we are making a Black Devil's food cake because that is my go-to chocolate cake. It's really good, and it's also really pretty easy. He uses kind of the old school creaming method where you cream your sugar and your fat, and then you add your dry ingredients alternating with your wet ingredients, and in this case that would be cocoa with water. So the only thing I don't have out here yet are the eggs. So we got the shortening in there, got sifted flour, we've got salt, baking soda and baking powder, vanilla extract, sugar, and cocoa water. So this is dark cocoa that has been mixed with water. I used an immersion blender. I'm not real good at doing it by hand. Normally my daughter does it, but she's doing something else, so she couldn't help me. I have to do it myself. So we are going to go ahead and get started, and this video will follow through the entire process of making the cake and then shaping the cake. So sculpture, cake sculpture. And we do already have the oven preheated at 350, and the cake pan is greased and floured. So here's how the cake turned out after it was baked. And it's lovely, and it's spent the night in the garage in a container, in a bin. I'm going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to see about actually putting it in our freezer, or I might stick it outside because outside's actually colder than our freezer, because I want to try to get it as frozen as possible because that'll make it easier to carve. Okay, so there it is, cake sitting on a tray in the snow under a bin. That way the birds and squirrels don't eat it. So while I'm waiting for my whipped cream, which has been delayed by a couple of hours by a miscommunication, I'm going to start working on the barrel. I talked to my son this morning, and there are kind of two ways I could go with this. It could be either chocolate or it could be candy melts, and so I'm going to try chocolate first. So I am working on a mold for it. I'm using a very small rolling pin because it's about the right size. go. We'll see how this works. There are a couple of different ways that you can melt your chocolate. A lot of times I like to do it in a double boiler because that's the gentler way to do it, but if you don't have time you can use the microwave, but you gotta be really careful. If your chocolate gets too hot, it will seize, which means that the fat becomes unavailable to the chocolate and becomes this dry, crumbly, weird mess. It still tastes good, but you can't use it for anything other than like crumbles. So my first shot in was 30 seconds, but the rest will be 15 each. Otherwise, I risk seizing it. It's a mess. I've done it before. We're getting there, getting close.
Apologize.
It's getting all melty.
Apologize.
I might be more than this.
It's not going to be fully hot. It'll just have a slight hole. A slight indent.
All right. You're going to hold this very gently. Just make sure it doesn't tip over, yeah? For my next trick, as soon as there's space, I'm going to make ganache. Then the cake will come in and get covered and carved and covered some more. The assembly will start in earnest. All right, it's time to make the ganache. So ganache is basically one part cream, 2 parts chocolate.
Obviously not procrastinating.
So my preferred way of doing this is you bring the cream just up to a boil, dump in your chocolate chips and turn off the heat and then mix it. If you keep the heat on to try to help melt things, what happens is the chocolate and the oil separates and you end up with a greasy ganache, and that is not desirable. I mean, sometimes you can throw it in the blender and re-emulsify it, but it's a mess. So let's avoid that. To bring them in so that I can add ganache and start carving them up and all that good stuff. And wow, there's fingerprints all over the lens. I hope this hasn't been super blurry. I'll fix that. Okay, so the cake's in. We'll be setting that up in just a moment. I had to scrape snow off the bottom of the tray. That was not something I quite expected. So I used this as an ice scraper and scraped snow. I missed a little, it's on the floor and everything. And we brought this in, it's pretty solid. It's like not tipping over, it's adhered to the plate. That's awesome. I'm going to put this out in the garage to cool off a little bit because it's still pretty hot.
I need as much as I can.
It feels pretty solid.
And I can see the fresh leaves of this.
Cabbage.
Cabbage. Look at those.
Cabbage.
Veins.
It looks lovely.
The veins of delicious lettuce flowing.
Oh crap! There are air pockets in our barrel. That's okay. We can fix that.
Air pockets aren't all that good, especially if you want to shoot an enemy.
Yeah, we're not going to shoot an enemy. However,
we're shooting someone's taste buds.
That ended up coming up farther than I
We're
meant
shooting
for-
someone's
thought it would.
taste buds with HE shells. Oh my god, that is beautiful.
That is beautiful. Okay, so I'm afraid that the camera may not have recorded the actual construction part of the cake, which is really unfortunate. So I put down in case that it didn't, I put down the first layer, slathered it with the lovely, now frosting thick ganache, put the other piece on top, and then I used my electric knife to carve the angles, and I manually with a knife cut the rounded part here, cut some notches where the tracks are going to go, trimmed the barrel a little bit more because I think it was still a little long. It's kind of fat, but who cares? And now it's time to put this out in the garage and make the frosting, which hopefully the camera actually records. Okay, so before I put this out in the garage, I'm actually going to use the ganache as a crumb coat. So if you are unfamiliar with crumb coats, as I was up until really in the grand scheme of things very recently, it is a coat of, simple syrup or icing that helps kind of seal in all the loose bits of cake so that the when you go to frost it, you don't end up with crumbs from the cake getting stuck and messing up your beautiful frosting. So sometimes you'll use a simple syrup, or you'll use a thin layer of frosting or icing to just kind of seal things in. And one of the purposes, see, you're getting all these crumbs in here. But since this coat isn't visible, it's just delicious. It's okay if there's crumbs in it. This will also help me have my nice lines, and it prevents the cake from drying out, which is kind of frosting's purpose in life. This one yellow, this one green, and this other one will be brown, okay?
Mocha frappy.
Yeah, it's got some milk in it, whatever it is. All right, I can mix this one while you start getting the next color going. This looks more peach than yellow. All right, it's kind of a muted green, which is kind of what I wanted anyway. All right, I'm gonna go get the cake. you want to have your eyes closed till it gets closer? Okay. Yes? No? Closed? Okay, his eyes are closed. All right. Can you tell which one it is?
It's the Jagdpanzer 38T.
It's the Hetzer.
That was a name it was given after the war.